Good evening. Hope everybody is doing well. I have, quite a bit. I've got a lot of road to travel tonight to get through everything. Because, man, oh man, oh man. And we just had a headline that just came in a little bit ago, so I'm actually going to cover that second. The first thing I got to cover is just kind of a funny haha, and it won't take long. But then, man, like I said, we have a lot of ground to cover. So, first off, I don't know if you saw the breaking news or not, but, well, I'll just rip it off like a band-aid here. Donald Trump has new hats. That's right, Donald Trump has new hats. And you may not be able to see it very well there, but it's modeled after the Make America Great Again hat, and this one says Trump was right about everything. So, hilarious. It garnered a laugh from both RFK Jr. and, oh gosh, I did remember this guy's name, and now it's slipping me. He was just confirmed. His name's slipping me. I apologize for that. Anywho, so we got that going on. We've got information on a couple of aircraft incidents. One of them is the one from Arizona that I had previously talked about, to where a Lance Air and a Cessna had made contact with one another. Unfortunately, the Lance Air went into the ground, and the two people on board did not make it. I was wrong about how it happened, very wrong about how it happened, but I was right about fault in that case. So, and it's no legal determination that I say the NTSB is the one that makes the call. But obvious is obvious. There was another incident up by Chicago, and I didn't know for sure whether that was going to be the fault of ATC or the fault. Well, I mean, it all comes down to the pilot and control, right? The pilot and control is literally the one in control. So no matter what, it comes down, regardless of what ATC says. That pilot should have been looking, and that pilot shouldn't have entered an active runway like he did. So we're going to get to that. We've even got the ATC audio to go with that, along with the visual. So let's rip this off like a band-aid, because I've got 10, 11 tabs open. I've got a lot of stuff to go over this evening. So, the breaking news that just came out, aside from the joke of Trump's new hat: Israel launches airstrikes to demilitarize Syria. So this is definitely heating up in Syria. Israeli warplanes have conducted airstrikes on military targets in southern Syria, including areas near Damascus and the Deray or something like that province, following Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's demand for the complete demilitarization of the region. So, not good. Tuesday night, Israeli Defense Forces struck several Syrian command centers and sites containing weapons in the town of Kiswa, south of Damascus, and in the southern province of Deray, arguing that the presence of military forces and assets in the southern part of Syria poses a threat to citizens of Israel. So, that, again, that was something that had just came out. Now, the next thing I'm going to cover is not so much in the news, just a little bit of interesting insight. Like I say, I've got a ton of stuff to go through. Let me grab a sip of coffee, because this one's going to be a little bit of me reading. So, got to get prepared, So, I, once in a while, I'll go over to, Grok or ChatGPT. I kind of prefer Grok because it's not as liberal. And I'll ask a question. Well, this got kind of spawned by I commented on some stupid thing on Facebook and had some idiot liberals replying. You know how that goes. And I guess one of them had looked on my profile, and they saw the picture that I had showed you all of where I had some scrambled egg mix, Augustin Farm scrambled egg mix, and I also had a large creamer container that was dated back to 2021, which is when we put it up. And, well, I told you guys about it. Well, this individual had looked at that and said something to the effect of, enjoy your expired creamer. And so I thought, I can bring up prepping. I'm telling you, anytime I can bring up prepping, I bring up prepping. And I told him flat out, I said, yeah. I said, we've got food storage, you know. I said, you know, I bet you don't have food storage. And he came back with something to the effect, he blocked me so I can't go back and read verbatim. Said something to the effect of how I wasn't a real prepper because real preppers don't tell anyone about their preps. And I responded something to the effect of, genius, I have a YouTube channel, I talk about it all the time. So anyway, that spawned me to ask the question, and it's something that's come up among the prepper community here and there, about prepping regarding the right versus the left. And so I asked Grok, and I don't know if you'll be able to read it very well, but I'll read it here for you. I asked Grok, according to political demographics, what are the percentages of people on the left and the right who participate in preparedness? Furthermore, what are the averages on how long each of them could survive due to a complete collapse of society? Please consider everything, including food storage and defenses. That's the question that I asked Grok. Got a rather interesting answer, and that's why I'm going over this, and then we'll jump into the airplane stuff and the Trump and Putin trolling Zelensky stuff. That's a good one. I'm telling you, that is a good one. Talk about 5D chess. So anyway, this is the answer that I got. Says there isn't a single definitive source that provides exact percentages of people on the left and right who participate in preparedness activities, nor precise averages for how long each group could survive a complete societal collapse, factoring in food storage, defenses, and other variables. Although I will say it does kind of give us a summary at the end anyway. Says, however, I can piece together what's known from available data and trends to give you a reasoned picture based on current observations and studies. And I was actually kind of surprised on the amount of people it claims on the left that are actually preparing, and it's probably something that we need to take note of. So it says, starting out, participation in preparedness. Preparedness, often associated with the prepper movement, has historically been linked to conservative or right-leaning individuals, particularly those skeptical of government reliability or concerned about societal instability. Recent shifts, though, show it's becoming more bipartisan. A 2022 FEMA Household Resiliency Study estimated over 20 million Americans qualify as resilient citizens. People prepared to survive at home for 31 days or more without external support. This number has reportedly doubled since 2017, reflecting growing interest across the political spectrum. Thought that was interesting, something to take note of. It is growing quick, and we knew that. That's why you got all the prepper channels trying to sell everything, including family members, right? Surveys like those from Finder.com in 2023 suggested among younger generations, millennials and Gen Z, about 39 and 40% respectively, have spent money on prepping. These groups tend to lean left politically, with Pew Research showing around 60% of millennials identifying as liberal or Democratic leaning. Meanwhile, older preppers, who often skew right, with Republicans making up roughly 60 to 70% of the over 50 crowd in some prepper circles, are more likely to have long-standing habits of stockpiling. A rough estimate based on these trends might suggest that 30 to 40% of left-leaning individuals and 50 to 60% of right-leaning individuals engage in some form of preparedness today, though these figures are speculative and vary by region, age, and specific motivations. The diversification is notable. Left-leaning preppers often focus on climate change or community resilience, and you look at city prepping, for instance, and that's a clear indicator of that. While right-leaning ones emphasize self-defense and government distrust. At events like the 2024 Survival and Prepper Show in Colorado, attendees included both conservative gun enthusiasts and liberal homesteaders, indicating a broadening appeal. Still, conservatives likely remain the majority, perhaps 55 to 65% of the prepper community, with liberals catching up at 35 to 45%. Again, something to take note of. They're getting ready for a reason. We should probably pay attention to that. Oh, wow. Another, hang on. Open link, a new tab. We will definitely take a look at that. Goes on, survival duration in a societal collapse. It's not super long, folks, so just bear with me. Estimating survival duration is trickier. It depends on food storage, water access, defenses, skills, and local conditions. No study directly correlates political affiliation with survival averages, but we can infer from prepper practices and demographics. Again, this is good information that Grok provided. Food storage. Right-leaning preppers often prioritize long-term stockpiles. Anecdotes from places like Michigan highlight individuals with 5+ years of food, that's canned goods, MREs, etc., backed by firearms for protection. Left-leaning preppers, especially newer ones, tend toward shorter-term supplies, say 90 days to 6 months. Focusing on sustainable options like gardening or community sharing. The average conservative prepper might have 6 to 12 months of food, while the average liberal prepper might have 3 to 6 months based on reported habits. Now, I want to say that I think they're really underestimating the conservative preppers when it comes to gardening and food production. I think they're really underestimating that. As far as this whole community sharing thing, I think you and I all know, or both know, how that's going to work out, especially considering the next part of what I'm going to cover. Defenses. Conservatives are more likely to stockpile weapons, AR-15s, handguns, ammo, giving them an edge in chaotic scenarios. Surveys suggest 70 to 80% of right-leaning preppers own firearms, compared to maybe 20 to 30% of left-leaning ones, who often reject guns or prioritize nonviolent strategies. Yeah, that's going to work well. This gap could extend survival for the right in lawless conditions, though it risks escalation. Well, I don't know about the escalation. I don't think it'll last long. Hang on one second. I just got hufted. Okay, other factors. Water, medical supplies, and skills like hunting and first aid vary widely. Right-leaning preppers, often rural, might average 6 to 12 months of water via wells or storage, while urban left-leaning preppers might rely on 1 to 3 months of bottled or filtered water. Skills seem evenly split, conservatives with traditional survival know-how, liberals with modern DIY or ecological knowledge. Now, on that, I think that the traditional survival know-how is going to massively trump some modern DIY nonsense or quote-unquote ecological knowledge. I'm just saying. Just saying. If you're not prepared to go without all the fancy stuff and the toys, you're preparing to fail. And I've said that all along. The most important thing that preppers can do is learn how to do. That is the most important thing. It doesn't matter how many gadgets, it doesn't matter how many pretty things, how many Gucci prepper items you have. If you don't know how to do anything without those, you're screwed. And that's all there is to it. So it says, in total collapse, with no trade or aid, survival hinges on resources and adaptability. A well-prepared conservative prepper might last 1 to 2 years, assuming robust defenses and rural isolation, while a liberal prepper might manage 6 to 12 months, leaning on community networks, good luck with that, or smaller stockpiles. These are broad averages. Some on either side could stretch 5+ years with ingenuity. Others might falter in weeks if defenses fail or supplies run dry. And then it gives us the bottom line summary here. Roughly 50 to 60% of right-leaning folks and 30 to 40% of left-leaning folks might be prepping to some degree. Survival-wise, conservatives could average 1 to 2 years, bolstered by guns and bigger stockpiles, while liberals might average 6 to 12 months, reflecting shorter-term but adaptable plans. These are educated guesses, not hard stats. Real outcomes would depend on chaos levels, locations, and luck. The data's scattered, but the trend's clear. Preparedness is growing, and both sides are in the game, just with different playbooks. So, it's very, howdy, Watchman. So it's very interesting. It is truly interesting what Grok came back with. And like I say, I would take note of it. So the news that had just come in is this, and I guess a lot of it's based on what Caroline Leavitt had to say today. I'm saying that because I'm seeing a picture of her. But it says Pentagon to be shaken up, says the White House. And it says the Pentagon is set for a major overhaul, with President Donald Trump ordering a leadership shakeup following years of financial mismanagement. White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt said Tuesday. The Department of Defense has never passed an independent financial audit since Congress mandated the process in 2018. Its most recent audit, in November 2024, found that only 7 of 30 sub-agencies could fully account for their expenditures. Pentagon officials admitted they are unlikely to achieve a clean audit before 2028. They failed 7 audits in a row. The trust in our United States military amongst the warfighters is low, Leavitt told reporters at a press briefing. The president is shaking up the Pentagon and the Department of Defense, of course, with Secretary Hegseth leading, and he has the right to do such a thing. So I listened right on Gulf of America. You may not have been here to see it, but Trump's got new hats, if you did not know. He's got new hats that he introduced today. These say Trump was right about everything. So I thought that was pretty funny. Okay. I got through that. Let me have my sip of coffee here, and we'll get on this aircraft incident that happened in Arizona. Oh, my goodness. Still waiting to hear more about the incident that happened in Philadelphia. I'm sure that they know whether or not that they can retrieve the audio from that voice cockpit recorder, but I haven't heard anything on it yet, so it may be a case that they can't retrieve it. So that would suck. That would suck if they can't. Okay. So you may or may not remember when I covered this. I would hope so after this morning, the Watchman. I would certainly hope so. I'm going to be covering that here in a moment. Marana mid-air collision kills 2. Pilot describes what he heard and saw. Okay? This was the incident. Like I said, I'd covered before. It was 2 small aircraft. One was a Cessna, one was a Lancer. And the Lancer wound up crashing hard into the ground and catching on fire. The 2 occupants did not make it. The 2 people in the Cessna were able to land safely, and so this is what happened. Flight instructor Erwin Castillo was in the air teaching a student to fly when over his radio he heard "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday." I want to say that this particular individual is not any of the ones that were involved in the aircraft collision. A moment later, Castillo looked out the window of his aircraft and saw smoke billowing from the Marana Regional Airport. He realized a plane had crashed. 2 people were killed Wednesday in the mid-air collision involving 2 small airplanes, a Cessna 172S and a Lancer 360 Mk2, officials said. The Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board were investigating the collision. The 2 people who died in the crash had not yet been identified by authorities. In an interview, Castillo described the harrowing radio call he heard and the conversation he had with the pilot of the Cessna, which landed safely after the mid-air collision. The collision occurred about 8:28 a.m. Wednesday, the NTSB said. The weather was clear with calm winds that day. Castillo said he was giving a flying lesson over the Silver Bell practice area west of the Marana Airport when he heard a radio call from the Lancer saying he was going to go around again. This was the Lancer. Castillo said the tone of the man's voice on the radio call caught his attention. That's odd. He sounds pretty upset, Castillo recalls thinking. Well, that's your first mistake. If you're in control of an aircraft, you can't let your anger, it's not like road rage in a car. You can't let your anger get the best of you. And apparently, that's exactly what he did. It's a fatal mistake, and it's a shame. About 5 seconds later, Castillo said he heard someone screaming over the radio, and then, he just hit us. Mayday, mayday, mayday. We're going to turn around and land on runway 30. Okay? Now, I'm not sure if the screaming was from the Cessna or the Lancer trying to communicate before they hit. That I'm not sure. After that, Castillo heard the same voice say, airplane down, obviously the Cessna pilot. Castillo said he radioed the pilot of the Cessna and asked if help was needed. The pilot radioed back and said she had the plane under control. Castillo said. Castillo then radioed the airport, hey, there's a plane down, they need assistance. The Cessna managed to land safely, authorities said. The Cessna was operated by the Chandler location of Aero Guard Flight Training Center, a flight school, a spokesperson confirmed to the Arizona Republic. Castillo said he spoke with the Cessna's pilot after landing. Castillo said the Cessna pilot told him she was practicing touch-and-goes with a student when the Lancer approached from behind. Now, this might be a little hard to visualize. I'll do my best to explain here. The Lancer approached from behind the Cessna and attempted to land. A touch-and-go is an aviation maneuver in which a pilot lands and takes off without stopping. When the Lancer's pilot saw the Cessna below, the Lancer attempted to fly around again. Okay? As the Cessna was taking off, the Cessna's propeller hit the Lancer's tail, Castillo said. So I was completely backwards when I gave and I told you that I just was going by a picture and that the fact somebody was looking at the tail of the aircraft and it looked like the tail was damaged. It indeed looked like the tail was damaged. However, it says, let's see. Castillo said he saw the Cessna's propeller was bent after landing. So that's exactly, indeed, what did happen. The pilot of the Lancer clipped the tail on the prop of the Cessna. Says the FAA posted on its website Thursday the Cessna was on approach when it was struck from behind by the Lancer. Okay? Everybody says the Lancer hit that plane, but it's actually the other way around. The Cessna hit the Lancer's tail, and that's what caused the Lancer to crash, Castillo said. Castillo said because the pilot of the Cessna was taking off, the Cessna had the right of way. That is correct. The Lancer should have avoided it. It should have either slowed down or climbed higher, but that didn't happen, Castillo said. He should have flown over them, and the Cessna hit him, causing him the crash. So this is essentially what happened. You've got the Cessna coming in to do a touch and go. It's just going to touch down on the runway and take back off. You have this Lancer that's coming in from behind, okay? And I'm assuming, and I know that just makes an ass out of you and me, but it's the best I can do. I am assuming that the Lancer was going to land in front of the Cessna, okay? Because you can slow a Cessna down pretty quickly. I assume that the Lancer was just going to sit down in front of the pilot. Well, then I think what happened was he saw or heard, I don't know which of the two, whether or not there was communication, but he saw I believe he saw the Cessna getting ready to take back off, and that's when he angrily commented or said on the radio, what was it that he had said there? Going to go around again, okay? So what had happened is, since the Cessna is a high-wing aircraft, it's hard to see right above you, okay? Because you got the body, the fuselage of the plane there, your wings are up high. So that Cessna had no idea that there was a plane right above it. So the Cessna, after touching the wheels on the runway, started to take back off up into the air, and I'm sure that they put the throttle forward and sped up as they were climbing back out. And the Lancer didn't either speed up fast enough or didn't, gain altitude quick enough, and that's what led to the Cessna hitting the Lancer. They should have, howdy Walter Davis, they should have absolutely went around the Lancer, and it should have absolutely not been trying to do that leapfrog landing, because I suspect highly that's what they were doing. They were going to do a leapfrog landing, and they shouldn't have been trying to do that either. So that's what I've got for you on that particular incident. Hang on, got to answer. And by the way, answering Ammon Bundy back. By the way, if you would, say some prayers for Mr. Bundy. He's been having hell with dealing with that St. Luke's Hospital. So, if you will, say a word or two to the Father on behalf of Mr. Bundy and his family. So, they're really doing him wrong. Really doing him really, really wrong. So anyway, we got this other incident from Chicago. And, yeah, like I said earlier, no matter what, it comes down to the pilot in control, right? It comes down to the pilot that was in the business jet, no matter what. It comes down to that. However, if ATC didn't do a proper job, that could cause confusion. I want to make it clear that that was not the case. ATC was on the ball, was doing the right thing. The pilot of the small business jet failed two things. Number one, he didn't do a proper read back of his instructions, okay? And number two, he didn't look out the damn window before he went to cross an active runway. That's like totally mental. But, so Southwest pilot attempting to land at Chicago Midway avoids private jet crossing runway. And I'll spare you the article, and we'll just go straight to the video here. And amazing, there's always seems to be somebody recording this stuff, you know what I mean? Kind of crazy. So he's coming in, he's getting ready to settle to land, and all of a sudden this stupid moron in a business jet just starts to bolt across an active runway. So the pilot caught what was going on. The pilot of the commercial jet caught what was going on and went ahead and went around. So I will say this: I don't think that the pilot flying the little business jet, I think he's probably missing a license right about now. So I've got a video from a channel called VAS Aviation, V-A-S Aviation, okay? And I'm just going to let the video speak for itself. Make sure my volume's up, and enjoy.
FlexJet 560, signature with Tango Taxi.
FlexJet 560, runway, actually departure frequency is 119.35. Runway 22 left. What taxi are you coming out of?
We're over at Whiskey, FlexJet 560.
FlexJet 560, roger, taxi via Foxtrot and hold short on runway 22 right. Plan for runway 22 left.
All right, plan for 22 left, Foxtrot Whiskey, FlexJet 560.
Okay, hang on, because that's where he didn't repeat the callback. The ATC had said FlexJet 560, roger, taxi via F and hold short of runway 22 right. Plan for runway 22 left. Listen again to the reply from the business jet.
Short on runway 22 right. Plan for runway 22 left.
All right, plan for 22 left, Foxtrot Whiskey, FlexJet 560.
He did not say anything whatsoever about holding short.
Tango FlexJet 560, just want to confirm our taxi instructions for 22 left from Signature.
Yeah, where on the ramp are you, sir?
We're at Signature Aviation at Alpha taxi.
Okay, taxi Alpha, Foxtrot, hold short of 22 right.
Alpha Fox, hold short, T2 right, FlexJet 560.
Now that time, he repeated it, but hang on.
FlexJet 560, turn left on runway 4 left, cross runway 31 left, and hold short on runway 31 center.
Right, left on 4 left, cross 22 or 13 center, FlexJet 560.
FlexJet 560 negative, cross runway 31 left, hold short runway 31 center.
Cross 31 left, hold short 31 center, FlexJet 560.
Okay, now that time he repeated it all, okay, including the hold short, but he doesn't hold short. The runway that they're referring to is this runway right here. The 31 center is the runway right here.
Southwest
2504 going around.
2504, roger that, climb maintain 3000.
Southwest 2504 up to 3000. FlexJet 560, hold your position there.
Hold position, FlexJet 560.
FlexJet 560, continue across the hold short of hotel.
Cross the hold short hotel, FlexJet 560.
Plus 2504, when able, turn left heading 220.
Left heading 220, Southwest 2504. FlexJet 560, your instructions are to hold short of runway 31 center. That's Tower Southwest 2504, how'd that happen?
Plus 2504, climbing 3000, contact Chicago approach 128.2.
128.2, Southwest 2504. FlexJet 560, possible pilot deviation. Advise you contact Midway Tower at a number when you're ready to copy.
FlexJet 560, ready to copy.
FlexJet 560, it's 773-884.
FlexJet 560, 773-884.
FlexJet 560, read back correct.
So that pilot had to contact Tower and I'm pretty positive that pilot didn't fly an airplane anywhere that day today. And I'm pretty sure he's not going to be flying an airplane for a while. He could have cost a whole lot of people their lives today. And it's really that easy. There was one time that he didn't even read back the hold short instructions. And then the next time he read them back, but just didn't do it. I don't know his reasoning for that. I don't know if he was confused upon where he was. But if you are confused, the wrong thing to do is go across an active runway. Going across the runway, period. When I say an active runway, I don't necessarily mean that something that's coming in or taking off. I'm talking about a runway that is in use, period, at the airport. It's always better to be safe than sorry. If you're not sure, you stop and you contact tower. This guy did not do that. He just ran right across the runway. It was a good thing that the pilot of the commercial jet was watching, and I'm sure the gentleman that made this video did a pretty superb job of syncing up the aircraft locations, and it sounded like the Southwest pilot had actually seen that he was going to be running across the runway before he even entered the runway. So props to the Southwest pilot. That was an incredible job. And to the small business jet, that dude's a moron. So, got all those. Let me close some of these tabs, because my goodness. It's like I got 4 million of them up. There we go. Give myself a little bit of room. I still got 7 tabs open. Nah. I don't think DEI hired pilot. I don't think, nah. For that business jet, just an idiot. The DEI pilots aren't people flying the little business jets and stuff. I know that they have to accrue time, but they're not doing it that way. No, certainly not doing it that way. It could have been confusion. It could have been, it could have been any number of things. I'm not in any way trying to defend that pilot. But it was breaking the rules, period. He should have seen that he was about to cross the runway, an active runway at that, and he should have stopped. He should have held short, especially if he was any way confused. That ATC didn't tell him to go across runway 31 center. Not at any point. Told him to hold short of it. So, you could tell there was a little bit of confusion in the last read back before the incident happened. But, that's not a DEI pilot thing. Hey, I think that we need to call out DEI when it's necessary, when it's accurate. But calling it out when it's not is doing a disservice, to be honest, to individuals that are trying to raise awareness about the DEI problem. And we can't, we can't just sit there and start calling everybody DEI. It doesn't work that way. And all that's going to do is get people to ignore the others that are trying to bring awareness. So, really careful about that stuff. Don't just throw labels out there just because it's the cool, new, current thing to do. So, not a good thing to do. Now, you want to talk about DEI? This next story is full of DEI. It is literally DEI. U.S. spies discussed kinks, sex changes, and fetishes in official chat rooms, says a report. I get it, but here's your DEI story. I do have one for you. A national security agency has reportedly launched an investigation into employees who allegedly used government-operated chat rooms to discuss personal topics including kinks, sex changes, and fetishes during work hours, according to the City Journal. The outlet cited an agency spokesperson as vowing that those found to have misused the system will face consequences. Damn right they ought to. And I'm in agreement with many others right now. There's kind of a call that's and I mean, you guys have probably heard that story 10 times already today. There's a call to see some action done. First of all, Pam Bondi said several days ago she had the Epstein client list on her desk, right? Along with the MLK and the RFK files on her desk. And we haven't heard a damn thing about it since, right? And I think people are not only expecting to hear what's in the contents of those files, but they want something done about it. And there are a lot of people that are starting to get a little bit, kind of pissed off that it almost appears like we're getting a runaround. Now, it didn't help that Trump, when he got elected, he said, day one, I'm going to come and I'm going to tell you what the deal is with the drones. So he gets inaugurated. Day one passes. I think day two passes. And I think it was maybe about day three. I think it was in fact, I remember it was the first day that Caroline Leavitt did the press briefing. And at the very end of the press briefing, she's like, oh, and by the way, Trump said about the drone situation, yada, yada, and she told the truth. She told the truth. The same truth that people got from the Biden administration but didn't want to accept it. It was the same truth, and it was the same damn thing I was saying here the entire time. The same thing. It was social media that had whipped up such a frenzy over drones that it got absurd. And then once the ball got rolling and people started getting really, freaked out, if you will, about the drones, you had everybody and their brother out there flying their drones, right? Let's see if we can be the next person on the news, right? And hey, I think it's kind of funny. Unfortunately, a lot of people fell for it. Even more people were taking video and pictures of airplanes and helicopters and all that and completely misidentifying aircraft. That was the majority of the reports. And those were actual drones were absolutely authorized by the FAA to be doing what they were doing. It was a nothing burger. The very same thing I said from day one. But there was a certain level of distrust when the White House under Trump had came out with just that short little bitty quick statement about the drones. So now we're sitting here, we've been promised these, all these files, and there's even a woman now, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, that was put in charge of making sure all this information came out. And Pam Bondi claimed that she had the files on her desk and she was going over them. And we haven't heard a damn thing since. And I realize that, sometimes things take a little bit of time. But you would think that we would hear just a little bit about what's going on in the process. And we're not. We're not hearing a word. So are the people getting taken for a runaround again? Maybe. Maybe. If they are, then, man, I hope us collectively that we raise hell about it. Really do. So there's been a lot of talk about the minerals that are located under the ground in Ukraine. And I think it's hilarious because if you kind of step back and you look at what's going on and you just kind of take the headlines as they come out, you can figure it out what just happened. So Kiev today agreed to the Trump mineral deal, Okay, that came out today. He finally agreed to it. Now, this was after a bunch of bantering, him talking about how he wasn't going to accept it and blah, blah, blah. But I don't think that he just up and did it out of the blue. So the EU decided to get in the game. They weren't in the game that Trump and Putin was playing. But they got into the game, and they touted a Ukraine mineral deal to rival the United States. Well, it's probably not a real good, bright idea from the EU. But, stupid is, stupid does. And so, even Johnson, Johnson came out and said that the demand by Trump was extortionate, right? Sounds just like a Johnson, doesn't it? Big old Johnson. So, I thought it was awful interesting because, again, Zelensky was beating this drum that we're not going to make this deal, we're not going to make this deal. And then Trump, doubled the deal, right? Yeah, that's Trump. That's the way he plays, right? The art of the deal. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, and by the way, the YouTubers, when this happened, the YouTubers were all coming out of the woodwork saying, "Oh, we could go to war with Russia. We might be going to war with Russia," Well, before this came out, by the way. And this article came out that Russia is ready to work with the United States on rare earths. And now, you got to have the understanding that a good part of the region that Russia is currently occupying is where the majority of those rare earth minerals are. Okay? So you have to keep that bit of information in hand. And I'm going to close up this little segment here, giving you what Trump had said today. But all of a sudden, after Russia was ready to work with the United States on rare earth minerals, well then, all of a sudden, Kiev decides, yeah, you know what? Now that we think about it, we want to make that deal. Let's make that deal, right? Because dumbass Zelensky thinks that we would put troops on the ground, and apparently a bunch of YouTube preppers think that we're going to put troops on the ground and fight Russia over these minerals. Hell no. I believe that Trump and Putin already had at least a talk about the minerals that are under the portion of Ukraine that Russia is both occupying and in control of. I think that was already talked about. That was already water under the bridge. And I think Russia came out with this in order to get Kiev to hurry up and make a deal, thinking the United States would be locked into helping Kiev win this war. And that's not how it's working out. Trump was asked today whether or not he would, because Putin had said this, that they're ready to work with us on rare earths. And so Trump was asked today, during his signing of executive orders, if he would do that. And he said, yeah, I think, I would love to make a deal with Russia on rare earth minerals. And I mean, I was laughing. I was laughing. Because once Trump said that, I realized just what was going on. And that was some good 5D chess. I guarantee you that was some good 5D chess. So we're not going to war with Russia. Don't let the YouTube prepper wannabe newscasters mislead you on that. They don't know any better. They don't follow news. They read an article here or there. They don't truly dig in and follow. I go back, like I did an update on the airplane incident in Monera, or however you say it, Marana. I think it's Marana, Arizona. I did an update on that. Why? Because that's what I do. I do news. I go back and I double check things. I see if there's more information out on certain things. These folks don't do that. They read just enough to make a video to get some clicks to try and make that YouTube money. I'm not here for money. That's not my motivation. I'm here to bring you the truth and to bring you as thorough of a truth as possible. And I don't care if I have to say, hey, I was wrong about this. Like on that airplane incident in Arizona that I told you right away earlier. I was wrong about it. I was right about who it was that was at fault, but I was wrong about what it was that happened. So, I have no problem with that. Why? I don't have an ego. That's nonsense. Ego, pride, that's nonsense. I'm here to try and help people the best way I can by informing them with the most truth that I can possibly give out. It's what I do. It's what I've done for over a decade now. So anyway, that's all that stuff. Almost 9. I did a pretty good job of getting through all that. I just got one more article. I'm not going to read it because my jaw is actually hurting or a little sore from all the talking, believe it or not. I was trying to get through this as quick as possible. Mother of Palestinian American boy slain in suburban Chicago hate crime testifies at trial. Apparently, there was a landlord that killed a 6-year-old. And that is insane. That is absolutely insane. And I'll just read the first bit here. It says, a suburban Chicago Muslim mother described to jurors Tuesday how she hid in a locked bathroom and called 911 after her landlord brutally attacked her with a knife and then fatally stabbed her young Palestinian-American son in another room. That is insane. I was just talking about this stuff yesterday and about how people are just freaking out. They're just losing their minds. Doing really, really crazy stuff. I don't know. Authorities say he targeted the family because of their Islamic faith and as a response to the war between Israel and Hamas that erupted on October 7, 2023, with a Hamas attack on southern Israel. So that was his reasoning behind it. That is insane. Absolutely mind-blowing. These folks had nothing to do with what happened in Israel. They were in Chicago. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not one to even remotely spread fear or anything like that, but at the same time, I will tell you to always be ready. Always be ready. I'm ready 24/7. Literally ready 24/7. Always be ready. Because you never know. You never know. You might have a neighbor that flips out. You might have somebody that's visiting a neighbor or temporarily living with a neighbor that flips out. You don't know. Or you could have somebody that comes off of a highway somewhere or whatever and picks your place for the spot they want to see if they can get what they want. You never know. And I don't believe in living in fear, and I don't believe in all of that nonsense. I don't believe in fear-mongering people. But I heavily believe in preparedness. And that includes every aspect of it. Even taking somebody to meet their maker because they decided to fuck around and find out. Just is the way it is. Yeah, I mean, it all depends, Watchman, on like location and stuff. That all depends. If the place you're in is easily defensible and hard to penetrate, then you got a fairly good shot, as long as you're not right in the middle of a big city or something like that. But I'm not too worried here. One of the things, and I've talked about this because I think it's comical. You see people all the time talking about home security. You see people talking about the different types of things they're going to do to make sure that their doors can't be opened up. You see them talk about putting like 3M film or what have you, some type of a film on glass to make it harder to break. You see all of this stuff, and most of the time the individuals that are doing all of this stuff and talking about all this stuff live in homes constructed of wood. So all you're doing is making yourself one hell of an incinerator. That's all you're doing. Because if somebody wants what you have and they realize that they're not going to be able to get to it, there's a good chance they're going to burn you out. So if you're not somehow prepared to stop somebody from lighting your place on fire, then it doesn't matter how much damn 3M film you've got on the windows or how many different types of barricades you have on the doors. It doesn't matter any of that. And even if you've got 3M film on the windows, that's really just a couple shots away of being able to clear that window out of the way and jump through it. It's not, Superman tape or something like that. It's just not. What it will do is it will stop the glass from shattering all over the place. That's all it will do. Even if you have bulletproof windows. Man, it only takes so many shots with a high-powered rifle, and that bulletproof window isn't nothing. It's gone. So, it's just one of those things. And while nobody is, for the most part, is in an absolutely impenetrable place, some people have a little better chance. Burning our house down is going to be a pretty tall order since it's kind of made out of concrete block. But, the whole house isn't. The roof isn't made out of concrete block. The roof's not made out of steel. It's wood. So, a couple of Molotov cocktails up on the roof, and guess what? We're smoking just like anybody else would be. So, it's important to think about that stuff. The only thing, when it comes to, securing windows, doors, and stuff like that, and this is the most important thing to remember about it, all you are doing is buying time. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with doing those things to buy time. Because as long as you can buy a little bit of time is enough to do a whole lot of stuff. And that's what's important to remember. I'm not talking against putting 3M film on a window. I'm not talking against using different types of bracing and whatnot for doors. Not at all. I highly recommend it. But that's not the end-all, be-all of securing your home. You are the one that secures your home. Those things just slow the individuals down so that you can deal with the problem. But there's a lot of people in preparedness that won't tell you the whole thing. And a lot of those people are trying to sell you something. I got nothing to sell you. So, I'm just going to tell you the truth about it. Also, I will add this before I sign off. Automation is a beautiful thing. And one of the most wonderful inventions of all are motion sensors. And you can do a whole lot of interesting things with motion sensors. Okay? But be very careful with that. Be very careful. Don't use cheap motion sensors that might give off false alarms, because that might not turn out good. Just use that stuff wisely. Use it wisely. But technology can be your friend. And if you use it correctly and effectively, they won't even be able to get close to crossing your threshold. So, but I'll leave it at that because I don't want to get in trouble. Motion sensors are a beautiful thing. Anyway, I am, there you go. Sprayers over doors and windows. That's actually a good plan. Very good plan. Anyway, I am out of here, and God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Is it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Tuesday. Okay. So tomorrow's Wednesday, and I guess we got 2 more days of the week left. So I hope you all have a good evening, and God willing, we'll see you tomorrow. As always, shalom.